I would like to remind everyone to please make sure that our cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. Also, please be advised, our city council meetings are broadcast on Comcast Channel 99, AT&T UVerse, and the City of Gadsden YouTube channel. And also, I'd like to remind, if there's not any relationship of anyone that's sitting together, we had the seating arrangement where you would be apart. So I'm hoping that you all are either relatives or you're sitting in a seat that's not so close. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will come to order. The chair calls on Assistant City Clerk Jennifer for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Councilman Worthy.
Here.
Councilman Back is absent today. Councilman Wilson.
Here.
Councilman Cannon.
Here.
And Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present, and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Brian Harbison to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the blessings of life. And God, our hearts are hurting this morning for Iva and her family, and we just pray that you'll provide your peace and grace as only you can. God, we pray for those in our city and in our communities who are struggling with COVID. God, that you'll provide the healing they need. You'll provide the warmth and the fellowship, just the friendship they need. Lord, we've during this time have all been shut in. It's a life we're not used to. We just ask that you'll guide us. Pray for your wisdom today for this council and the decisions they'll be making. God, we thank you for them and the sacrifice they make for being here. I pray for our mayor and his administration. God, we just pray that we'll keep our eyes on you in all we do. We'll give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will not have a EMA update today. I believe you can go to the EMA website. The numbers are there for you to check, and the information concerning COVID-19. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Human Relations Advisory Committee, the work session and council meeting that was held November 24th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payments of accounts for the week of November the 20th through the 26th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Do we have any proclamation? At this time, we have a presentation, and contrary to what has been put out here in the public, this is the first time a presentation has presented to the council that we have the privilege of hearing. So at this time, I call on Mr. David Hooks to come for the introduction.
Thank you, Madam President and fellow and members of the council. Today we have with us from Pilgrim's Pride, Mark Glover and Barry Griffith, members of this project. I'd like to say from the Industrial Development Authority's position, we've handled this project the same way we handle every project, whether it's within the Gadsden city limits, Rainbow city limits, or Attala city limits, or the county, or any other city in the county. This was a project brought to us by the state. It was heavily competitive with other areas in the state and throughout the Southeast. And as you well know, Madam President and council members, and as others know, all of these projects are done through confidentiality agreements. Any discussions that would have been held in executive committee, executive session. on this particular project, this is the first time the council has had the opportunity to hear this presentation. And from the Industrial Development Authority standpoint, this is very unique. In fact, that Pilgrims was gracious enough to provide this public information. Keep in mind that some of this project is still under non-disclosure agreements because of competitive competition and trademark infringement on innovation that they're doing with the environmental project components of this project. So there may be some questions that they can't answer, and I'd ask you to be gracious with them if they have to use that as a response. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark and let him do the presentation for the council, and then any questions that the council may have, he'll be happy to answer. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thanks, David. Thank you all for letting us come to this to give you the facts of what we are, who Pilgrims is, what we do. And so, again, my name's Mark Glover. I've been with the company, with Pilgrims, for 27 years. And the majority of those years I was in accounting. So I was, the last job position I held was the controller, reported to CFO about 5 years ago. And they said, hey, I said, hey, I'm kind of tired of accounting. Got anything else to do? So they gave me rendering. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, right? So anyway, it's been very good. I really like what I'm doing, and the people that I work with, they enjoy it also. But basically, a little bit about Pilgrims. We're a publicly held company. We're separate from JBS. JBS is one of our major stockholders. So we're traded on the stock exchange. We're PPC. We have our own board, our own CFO, CEO. We're in the same building as JBS up in Greeley, but we're on the first floor, so it's kind of a separation. We can't really discuss certain things because we are public, and until their quarterly announcement every quarter, it doesn't become public, and so it'd be insider information on some of the stuff. So some of the things that we've asked David to do, or his group, or whoever we deal with, hey, you know, this is kind of, it'll change the stock price if you do this or something like that. So that's some of the things that we've been doing until we had to go public on the animal or the air permit. So, so go ahead, Chamberlain. So one of the things about Pilgrims, we show the slide first on every presentation. It doesn't matter who's doing the presentation. This is our vision. So, of course, I'm too far away to actually read it, but basically, we want to be the most respected company in the industry, but also we added the last 2 years to provide a better future for our employees, our team members. So that's one of the most important things. The second thing that I focus on all this is the one down in the left-hand corner: safe people, healthy attitudes. That is the most important thing. So on every meeting after this, we go to safety. Safety is very important to us. We've gotten very good over the last 5 years, especially in the whole process of Pilgrims, on focusing on safety. It's a condition. It's not, you know, people say it's a priority, whatever. Well, in ours, it's safety as a condition. If the employee does not feel safe or see something that they're not going to do it, and we back them until we can correct the action so they can do it. So, and then, of course, our values at the bottom. We're all gauged on all those values, all the employees and Pilgrims. Next slide, Chamberlain. Here's some of the customers that the pet food, protein conversion of pet food, which is my division that we sell to. Smuckers, which is, they have Milk-Bone, Blue Buffalo, Dad's, which is also Smuckers, Rachel Ray, Nutrish, all those. Diamond Pet Food, which is a lot of the Costco product. And then, of course, Pedigree and Iams, which is Mars. And then our customers are the dog, the cat, some of the chicken, and the fish. As you can see, we don't have a whole lot of horses or cattle or pigs up there. We don't sell that type of protein It's a lower grade protein. We produce a higher grade protein. Go ahead, Chamberlain. So what is rendering? It's basically we were green before anybody was green. We basically recycle. We're 99% recycling of material meat. So of unwanted meat, that it's everything, like I think I heard that Tim talked last night about if you had turkey, where do you think the rest of the turkey went? Well, it comes to us, right? So the viscera, the head, the feet, whatever, but it's full of protein. So that's what we do. We basically convert that protein or that product, suck the water out of it, and it becomes a meal and a fat, just like you're frying chicken in a pan. Go ahead, Chamberlain. So in our industry, in the pet food industry, protein conversion industry, it's very heavily regulated by FSMA, for instance. All the rendering plants are required to register through bioterrorism, various things. We also get audited by all our customers at least once a year, and because the customer wants to make sure that we're following the right environmental standards. They want to make sure that they have sustainability too, all the way back to the source. So we're the source. We're the source all the way back to the egg, basically. Pilgrim's is. Okay, Chamberlain. This is the finished product comes out. It's meal, fat, various product. So if you're frying chicken in a pan, you get the chicken out, what's left, right, is the fat. And the water, if you got a lid on the pan, where's the water? It's on top of the lid, so it's condensate. So that's what we do. If you think of that, that's what we do. Next slide. So we take that product and send it into this. Fertilizer, kibble, this is dog food. Biofuels, if it's the fat will go into biofuels. Next slide. So I'll give you a little bit of the things that are going out there in the public now. I want to give you a real, if you don't remember anything, remember this slide. So in 1971, the pickup, Chevrolet pickup C10 long bed, right? It didn't have a catalytic converter, did it? Because catalytic converters didn't come out till 1975. What I want to show you is how things can change to the better. From a 1971 pickup to a 2020 pickup, there's a whole lot of differences. And even in the emissions, they're different. So there's things that change, and it's for the good. You got to get out of thinking that we're building or we're looking at an old rendering plant that doesn't have the technology like a 2020 truck. So that's basically what I wanted to, with this slide. Go ahead, Chamberlain. Process is real simple. Raw material comes in. It's all indoor. Nothing is dumped outside. It's all inside. We size it, then it goes through a heat process, which is basically all we're doing is heating it to get the water out of it, okay? And to kill any salmonella or any pathogens or anything, because heat is what kills pathogens. That's why you cook the meat to 160 degrees, right? That's why you cook hamburgers to certain, because it kills the salmonella or E. coli or whatever. We do the same thing. Because you don't want to feed that to a pet, right? A pet, and plus if you have, we are so stringent on making sure that the cook process is done, because if it isn't, we could get it to the pet food guys, and let's say that they apply it and they don't cook it correctly, then you got salmonella on your dog food and your kid comes out and starts playing in the dog food. That's not a good thing, right? So one of the things that the pet food guys like about us is because we got the source of the product. They know where it comes from. We got the chickens, all that. So after it comes through the cooker, it presses the fat out. Protein goes one way, grinds it, goes into a meal, and then the fat drops down into a tank. Go ahead, next. It's a continuous cooker. This is what a cooker, so the cooker's a big, huge, it's probably about as big as this room right here, not quite as wide, but The bottom is what's inside that cooker. So it's a bunch of frying pans. That's basically what it is. We put fat in it, like you're adding grease when you're frying chicken. I add fat, and it's about halfway full. I start filling it with the meat. It cooks, flows through there. It's a continuous cooker, comes out without the water. So the water goes up. As you can see, the vapor goes up through the cooker. And then I'll tell you where the vapor goes here in a minute. Next slide. So this is after the stuff comes out, it goes through a press where I'm pressing the fat out of the product. It separates the fat from the muscle tissue. Next. And then we grind the solids. That's how we make the meal. So it's all contained in the building, nothing goes out. And it's mainly for, we deliver to the pet food guys in hoppers, just like you see a corn hopper or a soybean meal hopper, it's the same hoppers that we deliver to. Next. Here's the plant that we're looking at. It's all enclosed. The front part where you see those little red doors, that's the receiving area. So what it does is one of the, like an all-fall truck, open top all-fall truck will back in, close the doors, and it will dump inside into a pit that also has a door on it. And everything inside is under negative pressure, and I'll show you how that's done here in a minute. But basically, we address the airflow and everything inside the building. Nothing really gets out, and I'll show you where it comes out here in a minute. But basically, everything that we receive in trucks or tankers is received through those doors, and it's all enclosed. It's not anything outside. Next. This is a typical plant, that rendering plant, just a typical plant that I took a picture of. Next. Now here's the odor. Everybody's interested in odor, of course. So in our system, we have an independent collection and treatment of high intensity odor. So the high intensity, what I'm calling a high intensity, is when I'm cooking that meat, right, in that big cooker, all the vapors go up and into this thermal oxidizer. What thermal oxidizer does, it takes the odors, just like, almost like a catalytic converter, takes the odors, except these are organic compounds, not non-organic, and destroys them, right? Drops them, the water will drop down into the wastewater, goes into wastewater, which is also treated. But and then what goes out the stack is water vapor and CO2, carbon dioxide, the stuff that we breathe out. That's what comes out the stack. There isn't any, it gets rid of all the amines, which is the stuff that smells, right? It burns all those. It's not, the technology has been around for a couple of years. They're always improving it, but this is the latest that we are going to put in here. Just because we know we want to be good neighbors, and this will help us not have an issue with odor. The next page is another odor scrubber, which is the more typical that you see in anywhere that has to have an air permit. That could be feed mills, anywhere. And what this does, it takes the particulates that are inside the room where all the workers are. If there's an odor or whatever, it'll suck it out through this scrubber, and then it goes through it like a chemical bath, shower, before it also comes out as water vapor out of this stack also. It's not as high intense. It's a much lower intense odor. It's not you might smell it, you might not. It'll kind of stink, or it'll be like, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say it's going to be like barbecue smoke, but I don't want to say that. So, like air coming out of a restaurant, something like that. When you drive by a restaurant, you smell it. That's kind of what this is. It's a volatile compound, but it's very, very low intense as compared to the high intense. Next slide. Here's site layout that we're looking at. I don't know if y'all can see those labels there, but we're kind of down on the, I guess that's southwest side of the property, towards the end of the runway, where the plant will be, and then the wastewater will be just a little bit further down. So that's kind of the layout that we're looking at. We'll definitely have buffers all around, because that's like 88 acres, I think, is what we're looking at. Next slide. We drew, you can't hardly see that, but we drew radius circles. The first circle is a half a mile from the center of where the plant's going to be. The second one is a mile. So within that mile, and I can't read the bottom. Barry, what is that bottom? I can't remember. There's a number of residents that are impacted.
You got those numbers, don't you?
Yeah, I think I can't see it from here, I think it's 7 houses within a half a mile and 40 houses within, can you see them?
9 and 44. 9 and 44,
9 and
okay.
44.
So there's 9 houses, or 9 residents and 44 residences that are impacted within a mile. I'm sorry?
We don't ask questions.
No.
We don't ask questions.
But I'll get to that employee thing. Okay. Go to the next. So this is the Etowah County mega site, which is what we originally started with back, I don't know, several months ago. And where we took, and Tim talked about this last night, from what I understand, that he was one of the group that we took up to the plant up in one of the newer plants in the U.S. And we were talking with the Etowah County, which is a good site, but it cost a lot of money to get utilities there, because there isn't any utilities that we want. So that was the problem, that we could not do this site, because it wasn't worth the money for us to put it there. It was way, way too much money to get it there.
What's the residency count on there, that one?
16 and 78.
Yeah, so there's more people impacted by this site than the first site, as far as residences. Okay. So we met with, the county officials. We were in executive session, and basically when they had to wait till we find out what it would cost to get the utilities there. And of course, we said, well, no, we can't do that. And so I said, well, is there any other place? Because they really wanted us in Etowah County. So this is kind of how we got here today. They want us in Etowah County, but we can't spend the money you want to spend, but how about over here? So that's kind of how we got to this point. I wanted to bring up the wind speed for Gadsden. This is the NORA wind speed for the year. Basically, it's not very windy around here. Like right now, there should be a up on top. I don't see it. No, it's the next slide. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Chamberlain. So you probably can't read that, but basically 5 months out of the year, the wind blows from the south, okay? 2 to 3 months out of the year, it blows from the north, which is this time of year, because it's blowing from the north today, if you want to see, I was looking at a flag outside. So the wind's blowing south. And that's like 2 to 3 months out of the year. And it's actually the coolest times of the year when it's going south. And then the other times it's kind of going east, blowing from the east. I'm sorry, going west, blowing from the east, yeah. So again, the wind doesn't blow a whole lot. This is at 30 feet above the ground is what this is taking. Again, this is the National Weather Service that provides this data. Okay, next slide. Here, I just want to throw this out. Rendering is an essential business. We did not shut down for COVID. All of our workers worked. And even in the processing, the These are all the rendering plants that are in the U.S. As you can see, they're not, if they were a dangerous issue, there wouldn't be that many rendering plants as far as environmental or anything like that. So it's an essential business. It's also essential because if you didn't have a rendering plant, you would not have chicken plants. Okay, that everybody understand that, right? You can't. Did I include the slide where I didn't include that one. What I was going to tell you was if you did not have rendering plants, the landfills would fill up in 4 years throughout the United States. You could stretch from LA to New York truckloads 4 times in 1 year to take care of all the product if you continue to kill chicken, beef, pork. So something has to happen to this product. Well, go to the next slide there, Chamberlain. The advantage of Gadsden, 150 construction jobs, 90 full-time jobs, and a lot of those are maintenance tech type jobs. $70 million investment. We're going to pay probably $1 to $2 more than the average Gadsden wage rate from what I picked up. So who wins in this situation is the common worker is who wins. Basically, when you bring in competition in any area, whoever's there now is whatever they're paying and the other one pays more, they're going to pick up and pay if they want to keep the people. So that's just the way it is. It's just the way it happens. But the other thing that you get is property tax revenue, payroll tax, and then sales tax. The school tax, you get about $240,000, something like that, is tax revenue just for the school out of this deal. But I think that's the last slide, in Chamberlain. Yeah, last slide. So does the council have any questions for me, or I might have to tag Barry?
I have some questions. Yes, sir. Okay, the first one, okay, is going to be to IDA. When did you all start working on this, recruiting this plant?
So David can talk to that, but we've got a timeline.
The project
Here, you might want to talk over here.
The project first came to us from the state in February of this year.
Okay. And where was it going first before Gadsden got involved?
We showed them 3 original sites, as I recall. The 2 that are under consideration and 1 in East Gadsden that didn't fit again due to utilities and traffic.
Okay. When did you all go to the Iowa plant, and who all went with you?
You want me to answer all those? I'll be happy to. It was in February. County Commission, Tim Ramsey, Jeffrey Washington, Shane Ellison, Chad Hare, another member of his staff, because another major question because of and myself. Another major question was on the mega site was the capacity to get water and sewer to the site to handle the needs of this particular plant. And out of that, the County Commission and the Gadsden Water and Sewer Board did a engineering survey, and the cost to do it was $20+ million. At that point, sometime around August, we started looking for a second site.
Okay. Okay, this is the same process we use for recruiting any business or industries into Gadsden. Also, any city you are working with in the county. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Since I've been here for over a year and a half, we've done the same process on every single industry, both recruiting and expansions.
Okay. Please explain the non-disclosure agreement that you and the mayor's office signed with businesses businesses or industries we are recruiting?
The non-disclosure agreements are basically as you can see, this is a pretty clear example of why you show those non-disclosure agreements. You'd never have any industry being willing to come to a community that has been put through the rigors that this industry has been put through with the false information. And so there's two reasons. One, to make sure that all the facts are out initially on the front end before, so the project doesn't get killed during the middle of a process. And number two, to protect the integrity of the clients because of confidentiality of competitive agreements with their competitors.
Okay. Now to the speaker from the rendering plant. Your water treatment facility, will it be indoors or outdoors?
It's both. So, yeah, I'm going to let my engineer answer that one.
Okay.
So it's actually both, sir. So this is a state-of-the-art BNR system. You have 3 of those existing in the city limits now. The aeration tanks are all outside. They are uncovered because they have to be aerated. Can't do anything about it. It's a physical fact. But all of the blowers and the high noise equipment are all located within a building and with the intention of controlling noise and the environment relative to our neighbors. It's an additional expense, but we feel like it's necessary as part of being a good neighbor and a good citizen and part of the community.
Okay. How will you contain the water runoff or the water ponds?
Are you talking about stormwater? Is that what you're looking
Yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
So all of the raw product is basically handled and touched on hard surfaces, right? Concrete, asphalt. All of that is drained to specific locations within the site, and that is then pumped to the water treatment system for treatment. It is not discharged at any point in time.
Okay. Okay. Now we've heard the positive of this plant coming here with the money going to the schools, the employees with the company, and how much they will be making. What is the negative effects of this rendering plant on the community?
Do you want to answer? I'm not sure what the negative impact is.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, for me, being in this industry for 25 years, the travesty that I see today is the misrepresentation of the data. Like, for example, we're watching the presentation last night, and there's a really nice circle up on stage saying everything in this area is going to smell. Well, first of all, science doesn't attribute to that. I would love to see their air modeling data that shows that, this air is going to get 25 miles outside that. No way. Sorry. There's too much science involved. It's not accurate. It's just not. I mean, we would love to be part of the community, and we would love to be here. We think it's vital to the poultry industry in the state for this expansion. Okay? Are we going to be perfect every time and not have a pump go out or a sensor fail? No. It's going to happen. We're going to tell you that. We're going to be honest about it. But the reality is we have put checks and balances in place to do the best, because realistically, I'm not so much worried about my neighbor as my employee, because my team members matter to me. And if it's a nasty, smelly plant, they're not going to show up to work. It's really simple, right? So I have to recruit labor, not only from an hourly wage standpoint, sir, but I have to do it from an environment standpoint. It's got to be a pleasant place to work. So I really don't see how this is going to be a negative impact for the community. I mean, why would we be spending this much money to build something that nobody wants to be at? Doesn't make sense. It's not logical.
Okay, one more question. Now, I know the average salary is $24 and something an hour, but what would the workers be that's working inside the plant?
So the
average.
Hourly, what was the hourly? Did you have
It was
hourly
like
or you had
$24
salary?
and something an hour.
Repeat that one more time. You're talking about the total, what number do you have?
Okay,
I didn't hear the first number.
Okay, they told us the average salary would be $24
Okay,
and some
yes,
cent an
yes.
hour. What I'm trying to figure out,
Right.
what would the worker inside, because I don't know how y'all average that. Was that with the general manager's salary in it?
So,
You know, all
yeah,
the bosses?
it's got everybody that worked there. The average would be, can I tell them that? I mean, is that something that,
It's your confidentiality.
I mean, that's.
Well, okay, if you don't want to
Here,
tell me.
no, I just don't want to tell it publicly.
Okay, well, we'll talk offline
I mean, I can
then.
tell you, I just don't want to tell it publicly.
I understand. We'll talk offline. And then my last thing is, like everybody that's been texting me and emailing me and everything, I'll tell them all I'm doing my own research. And I would like to go to more than one of the rendering sites to see for myself.
Okay.
Because I've talked with people that went to the rendering site, and I've got discrepancies.
Okay.
One said that you can smell it, the rest say you can't smell it. So I want to go for myself.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so
Well,
much.
Well, we appreciate y'all letting us talk, and we do want to be a member of the community, like I said when I met with the Etowah County Commissioners, so.
Any other council member wanna,
I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
You mentioned, or I caught something in passing that I'd like clarification on. You know, one of the things we talked about was the nature of the trucks that would be coming in and out and the
Right.
rate at which they'd be coming in and out. Can you validate what the truck volume would be per day? And is that continuously spread out through the day, or is there a heavy time when that's done? Number one. Number two, I almost positive at some point in your presentation, you mentioned open-top trucks and not container trucks. Can you elaborate on that?
So an open top is what's going up and down the road now from all the chicken plants that's carrying it to Hanceville, right? That's an open top. So what it is, it's open top, it's got a tarp that goes over the top. It can't go out off the property without a tarp. So, and it's sealed underneath. There isn't any leakage. And then there's tankers, which are like milk tankers. Well, you don't have milk around here, but they're like milk tankers, which carries the blood. And then the finished product is also, finished fat is also in milk tankers. So those are the trailers. As far as the number of those, it's about 2.5 an hour, which we run 24/7. We don't produce 24/7, right? We have people there 24/7. We only produce like 5.5 to 6 days, 5.5 days a week where we're bringing in product. The other days are preventive maintenance. So you got to have preventive maintenance. It's a lot of mechanical stuff there. So just like if you start up the hay baler, you got to grease it before you start it up, right? So that's what we do.
I know you don't know this, but I own a manufacturing facility.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, well, for the people that don't.
Sure.
But it averages around 2.5 an hour is what it does.
Okay.
2.5 trailers.
And again, that's an averaged out, but more than likely you would see maybe a higher volume than that during certain times of the day, I'm assuming?
Not necessarily certain times of the day. You wouldn't see a whole lot on Sunday.
Gotcha. So the church traffic would likely not be an issue, is that what you're saying?
No, is there a church there?
There's about to be a very large one around.
I knew there was
the
a church there, guys. I was just kidding.
Yeah,
But no, it won't be an issue.
okay. So closed on Sundays. All right. The other question I have is
Not
about this-
closed. I'm not closed on Sundays, guys.
I know. I
Okay,
understand.
all right.
The vapor stack, how
Yep.
tall are these scrubbing stacks?
They're the 65, 55. What is it? 65. 65 feet.
And then how often are you guys inspected? Would you be inspected by ADEM? And what is the largest fine that ADEM can levy against you for any sort of violations? Do y'all know that off the top of your head?
We have annual inspections by ADEM. There's no way I can answer the fine question.
I have no idea on the phone.
Well, I mean, they have a total maximum amount they can levy as an
What is
agency.
it? Do you know what it is?
Well, I think it's $250,000 per incident. I didn't know if there was some sort of cumulative max or something that you guys.
Not that I know of. I don't
And
know.
look, just so y'all know, full disclosure here, the reason I'm asking that is because one of the big criticisms from environmental groups in the state of Alabama, across the state, is that ADEM sometimes is lackadaisical with their enforcement of some of their permit restrictions, and so that's part of the concern in the community.
I
is
got
that
you.
somehow, once you're here, nobody's really going to enforce it, and so that would give you guys, not that you would, I'm not making that accusation, I'm just saying it creates a concern in the community that somehow ADM, maybe y'all could exist for longer periods of time in violation before ADM corrected it. But you go through an annual inspection, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's all laid out in our permit on what they do.
Yeah, it's on the air permit.
They can show up at any point in time. They can show up at any point in time and shut us down if we're out of compliance.
So when I talked about the vapor stack versus the scrubber, is it accurate to say that the tallest structure on the facility property would be at that 65-foot height, or is there something taller than that?
Yeah, no, the highest point on the structure is the elevators that we're using to feed our overhead silos.
Gotcha.
Which is, what is that, 140?
140 feet on the elevators?
Yeah, it's well below the FAA requirements for being in the flight path for there.
Yeah. And last question, can you elaborate to some degree on what best available technology means and how often that standard is updated,
So that is a designation given by the EPA.
Right.
We have no say in that whatsoever. And that is updated based on whenever they feel that there has been some new technology presented into the workplace that is better from a sustainability standpoint. or
Come closer to the
environmental
mic.
impact.
Sorry, that has an environmental impact. We don't have any control over that.
Sure, I understand.
But as an end user, we try to provide that as part of our system because it just makes things easier.
Yeah, well, and again, what I'm getting at is, another one of the concerns in the community is that, how long are you guys expecting to, I'm trying to think of the right way to frame this question in a business context. What additional rate of capital investment do you guys anticipate throughout your ongoing operations? I mean, are y'all continuously updating technology? Are you expecting to get 20 years out of this plant and you're going to put this initial 70 in it and then not invest again for 20 years? Just give me an idea of what your ongoing continuous investment.
So the way Pilgrims does capital investments, they basically spend their depreciation. Now, of course, we're not going to spend the depreciation expense this next first 5 years,
I would
right?
imagine so.
But it's basically reinvesting basically your depreciation expense.
Okay.
That's all of Pilgrims is basically what we do.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions from council members?
Now, we hear often from food processing facilities that through their wastewater treatment process that they often return the water back to the municipality in to a large degree in a better state than they received it. Based on that standard, just kind of using that anecdotal standard, how do you how do you foresee your wastewater treatment comparing to that type of standard? I mean, will you be sending back a higher quality water to the city or not?
Well, I could let Barry answer this in a detailed type answer, but I'll answer it. We're going to be almost potable when we send it out. So potable means that it's very good water. It's very clean. So, and it's because of the requirement that the city, is requiring. But we're going above that, the standard that's required.
Yeah. We, for years, in particular in this state, when industry would come to our municipalities, they wouldn't take into account a lot of the environmental aspects. They'd essentially build where they wanted to build and wouldn't consider sound pollution, light pollution, or any of the environmental aspects. How do you see your company addressing those environmental aspects for the 9 or so folks within a half a mile and the 44 homes that are within a mile? How do you see your company addressing that?
Well, we're spending millions of dollars to keep the odor out. We're spending many more millions of dollars to protect the water. So if we didn't do any of this, we could do the plant a lot cheaper, right? But that's why we're a partner in all of our communities for Pilgrims. It's not just the rendering plant, it's all the plants. So, we have a Hometown Strong program, right? Pilgrim's got the Hometown Strong program, which I don't know if you don't have a plant here in the hometown, but we've donated $50 million this year just to the places that we have plants. We've given the counties, the cities, money to help with COVID, to help with anything that, requires help. And you can see it on the news. I mean, if you like positive news, that would be out on Facebook. But so that's some of the things. We're going to be a good neighbor, and we're spending the money to do it.
Okay. I guess the last question that I have is a very generic one. We've used the council meeting today and this special presentation obviously as an opportunity for you to communicate information, and we do appreciate you being willing to stand here and share that information. Are there plans, either through the production of literature or conducting another meeting of sorts, for the company to produce any more information in particular for those handful of folks that will live in close proximity to the facility, or just in general for any concerned people?
Yeah, I mean, we're available whenever you all need us. I mean, for instance, Mr. Worth, he wanted to go, ask, hey, can we go visit another plant? Of course, we can do that. That's not a problem. We just want to make sure that you all have all the information what you need to make your decision, the facts, which is what we've presented today. Okay?
Okay. Well, again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the entire council. What I will say is, again, it takes a lot to be willing to stand before people, and in particular folks that are presumably hostile, and present information, share information. So we do appreciate you guys being willing to do that.
Okay, thanks. I am smiling, by the way.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have one more question for David, Mr. Hooks, if it's okay.
Okay, this
Yeah.
last one, sir.
This
we
the
need
la-
to move
this
on
the
to
last one, so we
agenda.
can move on. I know we talked about the non-disclosure,
Yes, sir.
but would you explain how you all, well, maybe you don't have to explain that, but when do y'all bring it to us as a council? Because you all could be out recruiting industry, for whatever reason, the deal fall through, we never know that y'all was even talking to the companies. So let these people know, when do we get involved? When do y'all bring it to us?
Let me give you two examples.
Okay.
One that we just did last week, which was an expansion. We brought it to you on the day that y'all approved it and did the expansion. It's the first time you'd seen it. No one had any questions. Everything went through, 67 jobs, no questions whatsoever. Typically, if there's incentives involved, we would bring it to you and ask through an executive session, what type package that the council or the city might offer at that time. And then that's at the very beginning of negotiations. It's not a formal deal. So formally to bring this, quite frankly, in this particular process, we're about 25, if you look at this as an ongoing process, we're only about 25% of the way into this process. These type projects of this magnitude typically take a year to 2 years to solidify. And while, to the general public to say, well, you've been working on this since February, that may sound great. I mean, we've got projects on our list that are still ongoing, that have been ongoing for 5 years. And then we'll continue to do. So to answer your question very specifically, this is a current project that you're seeing about 25% into the project. Most projects you see, it's 90% done before you as a council actually see it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'd like to thank you again for the presentation, And so that, once again, I'd like to make the public aware that we're going to follow this process through. Where you got the information from, that we were going to vote on it today, I have no idea where you got that information from, but we're going to follow it through as the process that we have normally do, which is there will be a public hearing whenever it comes to us again. So just to make it clear, we had no intentions to go in executive session on this. We had no intentions to vote on this today. So I want to make that clear and clear up that information that you got that was not true, that was just a flat-out lie that somebody put out. At this time, we will proceed with our agenda. Our first order of unfinished business is an ordinance authorizing conveyance of property located at 1309 River Street, and this ordinance was presented last week for first reading. Sandy Watson has offered $1,250 for the property. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next item of unfinished business is an ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 1224 Malone Street in District 3. And this resolution was tabled for 30 days on the 27th of October. What is the pleasure of the council?
Per Mr. Harbison with the building department, we're gonna ask for another 30-day table, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table 30 days.
We have item 10 through 17, and this is the time and place and an advertised to conduct a public hearing allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on properties located at the following location, and we're going to put all of these together. It's 713 Berea Court, 714 Berea Court, 715 Berea Court, 716 Berea Court, 718 Berea Court, 719 Berea Court, 721 Berea Court, and 740 Chestnut Street.
Madam President, I'd like to ask that we table the 721 Berea Court for 30 days, and then we can address the others.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table item number 16, 721 Berea Court for 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
All right, we have the other items, and if you'll give your name and address, please.
Madam Tolles, I'm David Livingston. I'm here representing Don Causey, who's the owner of these properties. First, I would say that he's only gotten notice very short last week. The notice was sent to the wrong address, so he just has now received it. So there's a problem with the notice. First of all, I would say that he's only on these properties like a year and a half. He has almost completed the houses at 715 and 721 Barrera Court. I've got some photographs of the inside of these houses. They're very nice, nicely done. Obviously, there are some problems with the other houses at 718, 719, 716, 715, 714. And he's going to work on those houses that are behind there and try to have those done 60 to 90 days from now that he knows that there's a big problem with them. I think the main problem was the house at 713 burned, and a homeless person got into that house, and it burned Ronnie McClure's office behind there. Once that house is no longer there. but there are some burned remnants of that house. And we've gotten a guy that maybe come clean that up, and we hope to have that done with a very short period of time. And we hope to have these other houses remodeled on the inside where they're a benefit instead of a detriment. I think the problem that we have really is homeless people getting into there. We are going to board up those windows if you'll give us a chance. And I'd like you to look at these photographs of the interior of the houses that have been done. So we're asking that we be treated like anybody else. Anybody that is trying to improve their property, you give them a sort of a window of opportunity to correct it. That's all we're asking for.
I like that word you said, trying, because we do give people a chance to do it, and they don't. But what are you asking us for?
I would say a 60 to 90-day window to come back, and let's see what we've done within 60 to 90 days.
Okay, I think that's in District 5, but we
I'd like to
appreciate
hear
you.
from Mr. Harbison.
Yeah, we're going to hear
before-
from Mr.
Let's
Harbison.
hear it from Mr. Harbison, and then we'll have a conversation about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Harbison, is there anybody that speak in favor?
Jason.
Madam President, I'm Brian Harbison with the Building Department. Let me set a couple of things straight. David had mentioned the mailing address error. That actually was provided to our office from the Etowah County Tax Assessor's office. And as of today, they still list those properties to the wrong post office box. Concerning the awareness by the owner that the property has been condemned, Donald Causey came and signed for a building permit in June of this year. And on that permit application, he actually stated to repair the condemned dwelling there at 721. All of the houses have been placarded as far as condemnation. Those signs are still up today. He took out the building permit in June for 721. He didn't apply to take out permit for any of the others. We're certainly not opposed. I've stood before this council every Tuesday, and you know how I feel about this. We have a limited housing stock. It's an old housing stock in Gadsden, and we're not up here to get rid of our housing stock, but we are up here to do things in a fair manner. The nuisances that exist on the other properties, in our opinion, nothing has been done to improve those situations. Two of the structures have burned and been burned for months. Those could have been cleaned up in just a matter of days, a couple of days. The business community in that immediate area, I hear from on a daily basis. As far as boarding up, these have, I think they attempted to board up most of, if not all of these properties. Still didn't keep the folks out, and that was some concern of the offices immediately next door, where they'll have meetings at night, and usually at these meetings there'll be no one but women attending, and so there was some safety concerns there. I could go on and on. What I'm asking today is that resolutions be passed to abate the nuisances at 713, 714, 715, 716, 718, 719 Berea Court, and that no improvements have been made to 740 Chestnut Street. And we ask that resolutions be passed to abate each of these 7 nuisances. Thank you.
We have someone else who want to speak in favor. Would you come to the mic, please, and give your name and address?
Yes, I'm Scott Mayo. My wife works at United Way, and contrary to what all has been said, that has been an eyesore since they relocated their office from 4th Street to the College Street. It's got to the point there are so many people that goes from the library and either to the Salvation Army or to the Way of the Cross. It's become a pedestrian type intersection or a pathway through there. I know been many afternoons I've had to come by because she's actually scared to go out the back of the building, and then therefore she's scared to go out the front and go around to the back because there's so many people congregate and stand in them buildings, and we've seen them in there smoking at night when she's ready to leave. And like I said, it's been several times. I have called Mr. Harbison for probably a year on this, that we were really concerned, not counting all the rodents that come out of there in the mornings and afternoons, and the trees are always a problem in their parking lot and floods their back parking lot because of the limbs and leaves. But the main issue has got just a tremendous eyesore, and it's a safety issue so much that primarily all the employees are women up there. And even the director, Ms. Hightower, was urging them that they really needed to leave at 4:30 before it got dark. And like I said, it just never has got worse. It was 2 weeks ago. We watched 3 people climb into the 740 Chestnut property right through the window. Those windows have not been boarded up. There's been nothing there. They've not done anything to the trees to help the problems or anything. I know they've tried several different avenues of. Mainly, it's just been able to go through the city. There was no way of getting up the owner, but nothing's been done in 2 years. I cannot see something changing in 60 or 90 days. I believe they've had every opportunity to do that. And so on behalf of them and their safety and concern and the eyesore, like I said, I'm sure they could. I don't think they can be repaired. They need to be tore down. So that's their stand.
Councilman
Sir,
Kent, do you have something in favor?
Sir?
I'd just like to ask the gentleman there, how come he took out a permit at 721 Berea Court and didn't take a building permit on all the rest of them?
Okay, that's not me.
I'm talking to him,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm Don Causey. I'm the owner of the properties. We're working on 2 of the houses, the ones that's on Berea, facing the Berea Avenue. We've nearly got those completed. And we went to get permits on some of the others, and they told us to wait to go out getting permits until we got ready to start on the other houses. That's why we haven't done it. Now, if we could be happy to go get permits on all of them and get started on the houses and get them, start repairing all of them. That's our plan, to try to get them all fixed to where we can rent these houses out.
Sir, it's my understanding, and I've been up here 14 years, once, and you might can correct me, Brian, if I'm wrong, once it comes before the council and you hadn't got a permit on a piece of property, you can't get a permit on a piece of property. Is that correct, Brian? We won't issue a permit once it comes before the council right here today. And you're talking about working on those other houses, and you've been working on those other houses. You said this yourself without permits. Is that correct?
No, we haven't worked on the other houses without permits, no, sir.
Oh, so you got
We have
permits?
permits on the ones that we've been working on, yes, sir.
Okay, are they anywhere from 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19? Is that what you're working on? That you got the permits on?
2015 and 715 and 721.
So you got 715, you're working on 715, you said, correct?
It's almost completed.
That's on Berea Avenue, that's not Berea Court.
Oh, okay.
2 different streets.
Okay, and you've got a building permit for that piece of
Yes, sir.
property?
So to be clear, the house, 715 Berea Avenue, is not in discussion today, right?
It's never been under condemnation.
And
Got
721, we've got it nearly completed also.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's the one that we recommended to table to allow y'all to finish it up. So we don't have any intention to take action on 721, but I'll tell y'all this. the bottom line, what it comes down to is when you're burning down neighbors' businesses, to me, that's where you draw the line, is when you start having that level of negative impact. And I'll tell you right now, if anything happens to Chrissy Mayo or Miss Joan Hightower, we're all gonna be in trouble. So you talk about United Way and the role they play around there. You know, at this point, I just don't see, and I have this conversation with a lot of people about these abandoned houses. At some point, I've looked at the pictures. I've seen the pictures that Brian took. Brian, when did you take those pictures? How recent are those?
4 days ago.
Okay. So I've seen the pictures, and I'm not a general contractor, but I know a pretty good bit. And I know it's going to be a substantial financial investment to bring those houses up to code, because we all know the best way to keep homeless people out of your house is to have somebody living in it. And so you're talking about boarding up the windows to buy some time. I just feel like we're going in the wrong direction with that strategy. You know, if y'all came in here and said, you know, the contractors are going to be there tomorrow and we're going to get to work on all of them at the same time, I would understand. But given the issue that it's come to, what I'm going to propose is that we go ahead and abate these nuisances with the understanding that it's probably going to take Brian at least 30 days to schedule these properties to be addressed or to be cleaned up, and that gives y'all an opportunity to continue to work on them and cleaning up, you know, the debris. And if there's some significant progress being made, I'm sure, Brian, I've got to hold your feet to the fire on this, is what I'm telling you. I cannot, you know, just continue to kick the can down the road. Like I said, when you're talking about having women's safety involved and businesses, adjacent businesses burning down, I mean, that's where you draw the line, right? I mean, to me. So I'm going to recommend that we go ahead and act on these, on abating these nuisances, with the understanding that if I was you, I would continue to work diligently towards repairing them, with the hopes that Brian would see that progress and decide to work with you. And of course, you always have some legal alternatives to this nuisance abatement process as well.
And we'll say this, you know, doesn't benefit us at all to have these homeless people there at all.
Sure.
So we want them gone too.
Yeah.
We do.
Well, like I said, the best way to get the homeless people out of your abandoned house is not to have an abandoned house. Right. You know, get it fixed and get somebody in there. But that's got to be a deliberate choice, I think. You know, y'all got to get on it.
And like I say, he's only on these properties for a year and a half, and he was working on these two first, and he's got them in good shape, and that's what he wants to do with the other five houses.
I get it. I understand.
Right.
So how you gonna get him a permit on these?
That's what I was going to ask. How do I get a permit to
You can't get a
start
permit
working
once
on
it
the
comes
other
before the
houses?
council. And if you get caught working on a piece of property without a permit, you get fined. So I have no idea on that question. That's what I was asking Councilman Wilson about that.
Well, I'll say this. I was specifically, when I talked about cleaning it up, talking about getting that burnt down, the two that are burnt down, get the debris out of there and get it cleaned up so y'all don't have a lien on the property for debris removal by the city, you know.
Well, we're going to have that, with the one that burnt completely down. Our plan is to have that cleaned up in 2 weeks. Now, the other one that just burnt partially, it's not burnt to the point to where it can't be salvaged. So then we had planned on trying to salvage that one.
I understand, but again, I've seen the pictures, and those properties are in really, really bad shape, to the point where, again, I come back to the question of, are you putting good money over bad in fixing them? How are you ever going to get your money back out of what you're going to have to put into those properties to bring them back up to code and make them inhabitable? I think it's going to, and again, that's a business decision, I guess. I just don't see how you can accomplish that in any reasonable amount of time with this many properties. So I apologize, but I just think that with the exception of 721, we can table for 30 days, but I think we need to take action on these remaining properties.
Second.
Was that
It's been
intended to be a
motion.
motion?
That was a motion and a second.
Okay.
Before we do that, let me sit down.
Okay, thank you. We've heard from you, thank you.
Call for the vote, yeah. Motion to move on these
Second.
Item number 10, 11, 12, 13,
7
14, and
houses.
17.
It's 7 houses.
Yes, ma'am.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt all 7 resolutions, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt all 7.
Is there any new business? Department reports. We have a citizen request by Mr. Tim Ramsey. If you'll come and state your name and address, please.
Good morning. I'm Tim Ramsey. My address is 399 Canoe Creek Road, Rainbow City, Alabama. Before my time starts or whatever, I'd like to, I'm a county commissioner here in Etowah County District 4, but I would like to, on behalf of myself and Mr. Shane Ellison, offer our condolences to Ivan Ellison's family and to the rest of the commission. She was just a stalwart in this whole city. She is someone that I have known for a long time and I trust and does an excellent job, and I just hate to see that happen with her, and we just want to offer our condolences on that. With one other thing I'd like to clear up, last night I was speaking and I spoke a little out of turn. I said I would be speaking for the whole entire commission, and what I was talking about at that point, I was speaking for the commission and that giving a timeline of how we've been involved with the Pilgrim's Pride and giving our whole consensus about where we were with that. That meeting morphed all into a lot of other things that happened last night, and I ended up speaking from my own self, and that kind of was conveyed over to the other commissioners because there was never a break in the point where I said I was speaking for everybody to where I started speaking for myself. So I have really stepped on a couple of toes on the other commissioners, and I want to publicly apologize for that. So at this time, if you don't mind, Madam President, I will kind of get started. I've got a lot of things to cover, so I'm pretty going to be doing some reading. But with that, again, I want to thank you for letting me speak with you today and taking my request. I am again speaking as County Commissioner from District 4. As you now know, Etowah County Commission was contacted by Pilgrim's Pride and Gadsden Etowah's IDA to visit a state-of-the-art rendering facility in Iowa. In February, 4 of us from Etowah County flew to Des Moines. We drove about 2 hours out to the plant. It was in a very rural area. On that day, the temp was about 40 degrees and it was windy. When we got out of the car, there was a strong odor outside the car. It was pretty pungent. It took us by surprise. We went into the plant. The odor inside the plant was even stronger right there.
Just to clarify, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you say there was a strong odor when you got out of the car, I mean, are you in the parking lot of the facility now?
We are in the parking lot.
Okay.
30 feet from the building. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure I'm.
And I do not want to mislead anyone here. I want to give an accurate synopsis of where I'm at and where we were in this whole thing. So.
Mr. Ramsey?
Yes.
But just a quick question, just to put your commentary in perspective. Other than being an elected official, what other professional credentials do you carry, or just offer of anything that might be relevant to you understanding the details of that operation and what may have been a part of that operation?
What might have been what?
What may have been a part of that operation. What credentials do you hold that make you a subject matter expert on that operation that might give you the ability to be able to accurately and appropriately assess it?
The only thing I have is a site visit onto the site. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I mean, I don't have any credentials in industry. So I have been to this facility that they took us to see, and that is all I've got with that. So I'm not an expert in industry.
Yeah,
no, sir.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to put your commentary in perspective and make sure that we understood that. So go ahead.
Yeah, all I'm trying to do is give a first-hand account and just kind of put things where we are. My concern has always been is how, this was in Iowa in February, a little bit windy. My concern has always been, how's that going to be in July and August in Alabama? What is the difference there? And we have all voiced that concern between ourselves and the county. I'm certain this, this proposed facility is a great improvement over others in Alabama. However, I have major concerns about how this plant and the stench from the holding areas of the two large lakes we talked about, or at least one large lake, I'm not sure how that is. How's that treatment holding areas going to exist having a major negative, without having a major negative impact on Gadsden industry like Intiva and Centos? I believe the plant's existence next to the airport runways will completely inhibit future growth or potential use of the airport, which is one of Gadsden's most valuable assets. The rendering plant will have a negative impact on nearby business, future industrial growth, and our residents. Last night I was given information from Rainbow City that there was two projected industrial things looking at their site, and both of those have put them on hold. And again, I will say that the rendering plants have a reputation. This may be a different system. I'm not going to defend that or try to villainize that, but it has held up our industry from expanding in Rainbow City just from the name of it and looking at it. The smell, whether it comes from the ponds or from trucks moving the waste in and out, will most certainly impact the restaurants and hotels at the Highway 77 and I-59 interchange. Per Principal Greer from Westbrook School, there are over 5,600 children who attend school within a 5-mile radius of the proposed site. We have to be on high alert about the quality of the air our children and grandchildren will have to breathe during recess, sports activities on our ball fields and tracks. Many who attended last night's meeting were concerned with overflow from water treatment ponds during heavy rains and spillage from tanker trucks, allowing carcinogens into our waterways. The general consensus was loud and clear. Many residents and business owners from both Rainbow City and Gadsden do not want this facility in Etowah County. You have the power to stop this dead in its tracks. Gadsden is a principal city within this county. I respectfully ask that you consider the greater good for all our citizens. And in closing, I want to make it clear that our industrial recruiter, Marilyn Lott, as well as some other commissioners, have been in objection to this plant from the beginning. And after a thorough look and with everything factored in, none of us saw any possibility of the facility being located on county property. So we're standing here today to say that I'm standing here today as District 4's Commissioner. I represent the people there. I represent the people who were adamant last night. We don't want this plant, especially don't want this plant where you're proposing it, but many, many do not want this plant in Etowah County at all. I thank you for your time.
I have a question, Commissioner. And now when the commission thought that the plant was going to be at the mega site, some of you all didn't have a problem with it. But now when it was shown that you all wouldn't be able to ascertain or get the plant there over there at the mega site because of you didn't have the water infrastructure and the sewer infrastructure, then they decided to move it over here to Gadsden. So is it a fair assessment to say that you all didn't mind it going at the mega site, but now since Gadsden is recruiting and trying to get the plant here, now you all have a problem with it?
I would think it's more of a fair assessment that in looking at everything, again, we were going to have to vote on it, and there was opposition to it, and there were people in favor of it. And I was personally going to lose friends over it. There was a church right across the road that is on historical, and I'm talking about out at the mega site, that's a registered historical site. I was going to take a beating if I took it for that. There's always a positive, there's always a negative. We never got to the point where we voted, or we never got to a point to accept it. But once it got to the point where it just was not financially feasible, it really took a lot of the weight off of the decision I had to make, and I was pretty relieved with that decision not having to be made, if that answers your question.
Well, and Commissioner Ramsey, full disclosure, Tim and I are personal friends, but that's the one part that makes me feel like we're sitting here like Charlie Brown and Lucy in this whole deal. And the council's taking it on the chin pretty hard, because I never got a call from anybody on that county commission. Nobody. And I'm friends with several of you. Nobody reached out to me and said, Jason, this is a bad project. Y'all be looking out for it. You know, this isn't something we want in our county, until it blew up in our face. And now everybody in the room thinks that the city of Gadsden went and recruited this project here, when we are literally, you talk about getting the wrong end of the shovel. You know, we were trying to operate in good faith, I think. Again, one of the things that I want to explain that doesn't get talked about a lot is it's a big deal when the state brings a project to your community and says, hey, we've got a potential $70 million plant. You've got, for a lot of y'all that don't know, the mega site is considered a priority site, meaning it gets first dibs at a lot of projects that are coming through the State Department of Commerce. So the politics of this on the backside, for those of y'all that don't understand, is when the state brings these projects to our community and we reject them, or we have a big uprising and vote no on them, the perception is, I don't know if it's reality or not, and I'm not saying it is, the perception is that that negatively impacts our ability to work with the state on future projects. That they go, well, heck, if we're bringing you a $70 million project and you're turning it down, the next time we have a $70 million project, we're going to pass on it. So that's the part that's troublesome to me, is I feel like the city of Gadsden tried to step in here and play a role that would recruit some pretty good paying jobs to the community, and they kind of got egg in their face about it. That's the only part that is sour in my
And what else is concerning is you don't understand that. That's the part that's very concerning for me. What he just said, you have no line of sight to, and that, for me, that's concerning, because if you did, then I think your approach to this would have been different.
Let me say that I understand. I certainly understand.
I'm not done.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I'm not done. And I respect your position, because these people are here because they're concerned about their communities. There is absolutely nothing in the world wrong with that. All right, they're here because they're concerned about their community. They have some understandable objections. So nothing in the world wrong with that. There isn't. But where I'm bothered is and I think, most of us are, the attacks on the transparency of the project. Mr. Hooks, raise your hand. Folks, we're very lucky to have him. Very lucky. Luckier to have him than you are to have him. Much luckier. Much more fortunate. And I think what's important to note about Mr. Hooks is he's been around this process for years. He's been around this process for years. He understands it. And speaking to what Councilman Wilson just alluded to, it's true that it doesn't bode well with the State Department of Commerce when we get these types of projects and then we mishandle them as a community. And so this is very concerning. I can tell you that we have a state representative who's been very vocal in this process, who is not viewed in a very positive light through the governor's office. And that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate for us, because this is not going to bode well for Etowah County in the future. Again, I think we need to separate the fact that this community is probably doing what I would do if I lived in that community. They have some very understandable objections. And again, you have to respect that. Whether you agree with where they are or not, you have to respect that. But I think the elected officials who have spoken up in this process have misrepresented the whole transparency element. If I were David Hooks, I'd be mad as hell right now, because you've attacked his integrity. And he has done nothing but follow the standard process. So the attacks on the transparency of it are wrong, they're false, they're lies, and I think it's unfortunate that people are willing to do that. I really do think it's unfortunate that people are willing to do that. And I have, and David, this is for you, I have some very general concerns about uncredentialed people going on these site visits and who don't have any idea what they're looking at and coming back with a report. I have some very strong concerns about that because that's a wasted trip, it's a boondoggle, and it does us no good. It does us absolutely no good. I think it's important when we do a site visit that there's at least one subject matter expert in that group. Now, if there's others who just want to go along for the ride, so be it. And who want to smell the air, so be it. But we need at least one subject matter expert going, somebody that can come back and give us a reasonable assessment of the technical aspects, not somebody who can just come back and give us their opinion. I could have done that sitting at home. Now, that's my opinion on it. You can take that for all it's worth.
All right, may I speak now? Back to Mr. Wilson. There is a non-disclosure. When I signed that non-disclosure and it moved away from us, sure. I'm out.
I get it.
You know that. We don't talk about those kinds of things. I don't talk about them. This is David. I have not attacked Mr. Hooks at all. Mr. Hooks is highly regarded on the state. He is highly regarded in this city and in this county. I don't believe there's been any attack by me on him at all. I will disagree with you, Mr. Williams, that I'm elected to represent the people, to come and speak what they tell me to speak. It's not just me and what I think, but it's what they told me last night to speak for them. And I think that is your job also. And I do believe on going on these trips, if I'm going to have to vote on something, whether my expertise, I do not disagree at all with you saying we should take an expert. But if I'm going to vote on something, I certainly like to see it firsthand, because I don't know that expert every time, and I don't trust that expert every time. But I do get my own opinion, and my nose works, and I did do what I did. And what I came here today, what I came here today to do was tell a personal experience and represent the people who voted for me to represent them. So I have not thrown Mr. Hooks and Mark and Barry under the bus at all. I've come back and done what the people who elected me to do have asked me to do, and I'm doing it right here, and I'll do it next time.
And that's what we'll do.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to, can I say one more thing and I'm gonna be done? I'm gonna have to agree with the commission on that, because I ain't an expert and I wanna go. I can see if my nose is okay, I can smell, so now I'm about to disagree with you on that. And we can have a resident expert to go with us to explain the things. I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, you're a fireman, I was a police, so I understand. But my thing is, we're going to still be friends after all of this. But I'm going to vote what's best for the city of Gadsden. And then I'll worry about Rainbow City and the county as a whole. But listen, I would love to have something out there at the mega site. Ever since you all got the mega site out there, I've been the one pushing the city to work with the county and Rainbow City, because if we get something out there at the mega site, it's going to affect everybody in this county in a positive way.
I agree with you 100%. And one thing I would like to say is if I or any other commissioner or any other body who is elected and is in charge has offended anyone here, I apologize for myself and for them.
Thank you for that, Tim.
We absolutely meant nothing, and I don't think any of us, to my knowledge, have thrown anything negative out about the city of Gadsden. I do not agree with the placement of this plant, period.
Well,
I think it's bad business for the city of Gadsden.
Tim, I respect your explanation about the non-disclosure agreement, and I want to make it clear. I mean, I accept that. That's fine with me. Again, the only thing that's frustrating to me as an elected official is I was bebopping down the street 3 weeks ago, flipping a quarter with no idea what was going on, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm getting 400 emails and text messages and phone calls at all hours of the night with people saying that I'm part of some giant cabal of secret action. And my point is, it's kind of a hot potato in local politics, and I feel like the group collectively kind of let us wallow on this one a little bit as the community continued to build this idea that the city of Gadsden was trying to recruit this project here and that we were the masterminds behind it. That's the only thing. But again, I accept your explanation about the non-disclosure agreement on a personal level. It wasn't really that big a deal. We probably could have talked about it offline anyway. Thanks.
I agree. I don't think that I ever said the city of Gadsden was doing that. I said the Gadsden Etowah Industrial Development is the one that contacted us, and I know the state contacted them.
Yeah.
And, we didn't go out and recruit this plant. Nobody here did. This plant was handed to us.
That was really the point of mine.
And as far as the flipping the coin 2 weeks ago, I was actually in Indiana when I got a call, and that's the first I heard of it landing where it's landing.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Tim, I got a couple questions to ask you. I usually don't do this, but I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think everyone in the city of Gadsden and Etowah County knows about this now? Would that be a fair assumption to say?
I doubt everyone does.
Okay, so everybody don't know, is that what you're saying? Okay. The only Texas I've got some Texas, about 65. One of them said I better enjoy my days on this earth. That was a threat. I didn't like that threat, but I can deal with threats. The next one was, I said that I've taken money for a project, and today is the first time I've ever seen these guys, and you can verify by asking them, sir, have I ever seen y'all? You ever seen me? Have we ever talked? Okay, so that's out there. And another thing that really concerns me when you're talking about you took a lot of heat when you was going to put that at the mega site from that church.
No, sir, I did not say that. I said had we decided to put it there, then I was going to get beat pretty bad by the Historical Society and that church. I never. Okay, so it never got to that point, sir.
Okay, but if they had you would probably lost votes. That's what you're
Absolutely.
saying. Okay, so I don't do this for votes. I don't have to do this for votes. I'm retired. I don't have to do it.
I'm just stating a fact. I wasn't.
But let me tell you another point that really stuck in my mind is when you said that you're here representing these people.
Yes, sir.
Correct? You did say you was representing all these people in District 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know when I say what I'm going to say, I'm going to get 100 phone calls from people today, but everybody in District 6, the people I represent, which this is wanting to go into District 6, you agree with me? This is in District 6, the airport property right there. Mm-hmm. It's in District 6. I've heard from 0 people in District 6 opposing it or for it. 0. And I know after we leave here, there's going to be a bunch of people calling people saying you need to call Johnny Cannon and voice it. But I've heard from 0 people in District 6 against it. 0.
Well, let me just make sure you understand something. I heard from lots of folks last night. So I'm answering those calls.
Well, I'm glad you're answering because I'm councilman in District 6, but, if you can answer all you want to, but I mean, I hadn't had a vote, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Well, I want to say something on his behalf. If you threaten, let me say this first. If you threaten one council member's life, you threaten all of us. Now, we're not going to stand for that. So that's unacceptable.
Thank you. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman, the day has been well spent.
Let's go.
I'm sorry. That's the way I feel.
No, I'm not saying. I'm going to start with Councilman Reed. He hadn't said a word.
I tell you what, I've been around here a long time. I agree with Johnny. I got a lot of calls, a lot of texts. 4 people put their name on it, and I talked to all 4 of them. Because I tell you what, if you put your name on it and you threaten me, I'm going to come after you. Bet on it. I'm telling you, put your name on it, I'll call you. And I won't be hiring a lawyer. The next thing that I've heard and seen throughout my time here, we have a lot of petty politics. You have one person that gets upset. They get another one that get upset. They get 3, 5, 10. I went through it many, many years up here, getting all these people upset without any proof, any knowledge, like Councilman Williams says. No expertise in that business, have no idea what they're talking about. The most dangerous people in the world are people who are uninformed. Because an uninformed person, he don't know he's lying. You pick up a liar just like that. So I don't appreciate all the stuff that I've been through, that Johnny's been through. I roll it off because I know how to exit on my telephone. And I have hit that remove button on everybody except the ones that call me. From here on out, if you text me, you call me, you put your name on it, or you ain't got a gut in your body. That's all I got.
You don't have nothing else to say.
I don't have anything else to say. I've said.
Oh, yeah, I
You
got some
through.
more stuff. I ain't done. No, ma'am, Madam President. I've tried to speak with the people that called me and text me, but I had one in particular that said that we was taking money. I was having a dialogue with them, and that really ticked me off. And I told him, I said, I don't like, the Councilman Reed said, didn't have a name on it, so I didn't know who they were. But I told him, I said, look, I'm trying to be respectful. You don't know me. I wasn't crooked when I was a police. Now, dang sure not crooked now. And I said, listen, don't text my phone again. I will have a conversation with anybody. I will debate anybody. But like I told everybody that text me, emailed me, I'm going to do my own research. And that's OWN. I put ON on several of them, and somebody finally told me that OWN. So OWN, own research. And I want to go to the plant because I understand. I had a long conversation with, I won't call the lady name this morning, but she's been texting me back and forth. She's an owner of a business. Well, I better not say where because then y'all will know. But anyway, she was sincere, and we talked a long time this morning. And I have no problem with you stating your facts, and I'm stating mine. But I was leaning toward, well, I ain't gonna even say that. Yes, I will. I was leaning toward voting in favor, but now I'm neutral until I go up and see the plant myself. Because this lady was passionate. But that's not to say I'm gonna vote against it now. But I'm gonna do my own research, and I know I'm not a resident expert on anything but law enforcement, but in the military, because I was in that for so long. But I will go and do my due diligence, and then I will make my decision what's best for Gadsden. Okay? Thank you.
Mayor, you have anything?
Oh, one more thing. I want to say thank you to,
I'm
I'm sorry.
gonna gap.
I got to say thank you to Tanya Baker and all the ones that helped feed on Thanksgiving Day. She cooked all that food herself. And we fed 400 people on Thanksgiving at Carver Community Center. So I want to say thank you to her. And we'll talk more about that.
Mayor?
I'm not a texting person. I'm way past all that. I don't like technology. I did get a lot of texts. They were all polite. But I understand about 3 weeks ago, you know everything on Facebook's true. You know, always. But anyway, I was #1 for about 4 or 5 days on Facebook that I could stop it and I could do this and I could do that and all that. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll look at everything and then we'll come up with what we're going to do. That's pretty much it.
Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. Now, again, I'll restate some of what's already been said. I think I'm like the mayor in that most, if not all, of the emails and messages that I've received have been respectable. People have been adult about how they voice their issues and their concerns, and I take no issue with it. I think, again, I would probably be sitting here, taking a similar position if this were happening, in my community. If I had the interest that many of the people here have. So their objections are understandable. And again, I'm repeating that because I think it bears repeating, and it's important to understand that we respect the fact that you're here. But having said that, what really concerns me is the misinformation. I think Senator Jones referred to the lack of transparency. Mr. Ramsey, contrary to what you may believe, that's an attack on that gentleman over there. It basically gives, you don't have the floor right now, sir. And it basically lends itself to the idea and notion that he somehow circumvented the normal process, and he didn't. We didn't. So I want to be very clear about that. None of that has happened. And honestly, the reason I make the point about it being important to have subject matter experts involved is, I've said this since the beginning, be careful about how much faith you put in elected officials. Most of these guys up here are not subject matter experts in anything that we're talking about today. They know very little about anything we're talking about today. The best thing they're going to give you is being a mouthpiece for your interest. And that's okay if that's all you want. If you want your interest repeated and vocalized, then have at it, because that's what they're good at. That's what they're good at, to be quite honest. But they're not subject matter experts. And when we're talking about a $70 million project, and a project that is cloaked with some of the concerns that this one is, I want smart people involved. I want smart people involved. I want people who know what they're talking about involved. I'll transition from that because enough has been said. We lost a dear friend. Folks, this COVID pandemic, this COVID-related season that we're in is real. At this very moment, I'll be attending a memorial service tomorrow. We will be attending a memorial service tomorrow for a very dear friend, someone who started out a couple weeks ago as healthy as we are, and now he's no longer with us. So please keep Iva Nelson and her family in your prayers. Dale Nelson, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss having you here as a friend. Right now I have a best friend whose wife is hospitalized. She's a healthcare provider. She's in ICU and she's battling. I mean, it's been well noted that one family was hit with 3 family members. Folks, again, we have got to take this seriously. We've got to get through it. We've got to be smart about how we fight this. I look out across this room and I'm proud of what I see. With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 folks, everybody in this room has on a mask. And I think those folks deserve a round of applause for being smart and being caring for the people that's sitting next to them, because that's all it takes. It's a simple act. That's all. It's a simple act of putting your health and the person's health next to you first and foremost. So thank you guys for thank you guys for wearing masks. Now y'all are not social distancing worth of crap. Y'all are on top of each other, but you're wearing masks, and I do appreciate that. Do appreciate it. And again, my condolences to the Nelson family, and may God comfort you in this very difficult time. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilman Wilson.
I'm not going to say much other than to say that I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I would like to visit one of the plants. I'd like to learn some more information about it. Again, on one side, it's incredibly hard as an elected official when you've been trained your whole life you got to get jobs. You got to get jobs. You got to get jobs. The only thing we've got, the only reason you're there is to get jobs, bring jobs, bring jobs. And then we get probably one of the biggest capital investments in this community in a couple of years at least, maybe, and some really good paying jobs. And I just hate that it's like the luck of Etowah County. I mean, we're the smallest county in the state of Alabama. We got 13 municipalities in this state, and we can't all figure out how to make something work around here without fighting with each other. It is as a business owner, it is the darndest thing to be a part of, to watch this bureaucracy fail this city and this county regularly, not because we all are trying to do what's right, but we just can't, for whatever reason, get our laser beams together. And I hope that that changes. But again, I don't know what I'm going to do. When I used to sit down on that dock on Rainbow Haven with my grandfather and fish every summer, he used to tell me all the time, son, your knowledge is a mile wide and an inch deep. And that's where I feel right now about this subject. I'm a mile wide and an inch deep. I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. And to think that we would pass on a quote unquote, I know this is a hot button word, but state-of-the-art facility, that because of fears about other projects, that's tough. And I'm going to take my time and I'm going to look at this. And the only thing I can tell you is that nothing in this process will happen behind closed doors that isn't authorized by law to happen behind closed doors in order to protect the integrity of the process. And I will not be a part of any closed door meetings on this subject that are supposed to be open to the public. I will make that 100% commitment to you. And with that in mind, I miss my friend Dale Nelson, and my heart breaks for Ivan Nelson. He was an amazing person, and it's a very, very sad day in this city. That's all I have, Madam President.
Ken.
I'm like Councilman Wilson. Hope I can get through with this. Dale Nelson was a good friend of me and Ben's. We cut up all the time together. You could just see in Dale Nelson's face when he seen his wife Iva, how excited he was and how much he loved her. You could just see that in his face. And me and Councilman Reed was sitting here a while ago talking. 3 weeks ago today, me, Ben, Iva, and Dale Nelson was sitting at the Choice Restaurant. Dale was sitting between me and Ben. We was all eating, having a good time and talking. And, you know, he's gone now. I mean, you know, he's gone, and it's just hard to believe. I mean, it's just really hard for me to comprehend. He was a good man. I mean, he just, you know, he was loved by everybody, Dale was, and our prayers and thoughts go out to the Nelson family.
Okay. Right now, I have no comments because sometimes I'm not gentle with my comments. So I'm not going to say anything at this particular point. I'm going to wait till my temperament is better before I say anything, because what will come out will not come out completely right, or it will be taken the wrong way. So I'm not going to make any comments about the rendering plant because I have some strong feelings about several things, and at a later date I will say something about those. But I'd like to also remember Mabel Anderson. She is in the hospital, and she is basically fighting for her life, if her life is not already over. In fact, the last report that we got, that if she survived, she may not have the quality of life that she had going in. So let's remember the families, let's remember all the families in our prayers, and let's come together. When I first came on this council, that's all I used to hear from Councilman Worthy was that we need to work together, we need to work together. Gadsden City has stretched out an olive branch, and all they've done is cut the olive branch off. So I'm saying we need to come together in here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Only God can change the hearts of men and women. not me or you, not even a law that we pass. And so I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Amen.